Oh, a microphony.
And a phony at the mic.
Quiet, numbskulls, I'm broadcasting.
The Doctor of Discernment is now online.
You know, much like my show, in that it's a local reaction to things that are happening on a federal level.
Dispensing a daily dose of common sense. No prescription required.
Wow, do I have a boatload of stuff for you, from the crazy to the absurd. Let's start getting into it because, I mean, it is bizarro world out there. And I say, if it's obvious to me, it should be obvious to everybody. Oh, wow. Who could have seen this coming?
This is the Fourth Hour with Greg Belfrage.
Hold on to your butts.
Broadcasting from the basement bunker beneath Kettle Radio. Welcome to the fourth hour of the Greg Belfrage Show. More and more of you are subscribing to YouTube, and I want to say a big thank you. You know, we were pushing for 550, and then up, and I've been pushing you for 560, and we got there, and I've been pushing you for 570, and we just got there. We've got 570 subscribers. I'm pushing for 600, so if you have not yet subscribed to the Greg Belfrage Show, please do so. Again, more and more of you are signing up and choosing to subscribe, and I really, really appreciate having you on board. So let's take a look at what's going on in bizarro world again today. Tom Homan spoke this morning in Minneapolis, and he talked about a federal drawdown. They are drawing down the troops in Minneapolis. He said, thanks to unprecedented cooperation. So he made the announcement saying that 700 federal agents would be departing the Twin Cities. And he said the ultimate goal is a complete drawdown of federal presence. He talked about the meetings that he's had with Minnesota Governor Tim Walz, Attorney General Keith Ellison, Minneapolis Mayor Jacob Frey, urging them to allow local jails to communicate with federal law enforcement about when they plan to release illegal aliens that are being housed there. And he said, we currently have an unprecedented number of counties communicating with us now and allowing ICE to take custody of illegal aliens before they hit the streets. Unprecedented cooperation, he said. I'll say it again. This is efficient, and it requires only one or two officers to assume custody of a criminal alien target rather than 8 or 10 officers going into the community and arresting that public safety threat. So, again, it's the behavior of, it's the choice that these local officials have been making that requires then a larger number of officers to be able, if you're going to enforce the law, and I think you have to. I think either you in Minneapolis, I think is proof of that. This failure to enforce the law and unwillingness to enforce the law, it's who wants to live in that kind of community? So Holman said this was safer for the officers, safer for the community, safer for the illegals themselves. And he said, given this increase in unprecedented collaboration, and as a result of less need for law enforcement officers to do this work in a safer environment, I've announced immediately that we will draw down 700 people effective today. So he said federal authorities are not requiring jails to hold illegal immigrants beyond their normal release time. We're not asking anyone to be an immigration officer, he said. I think they've been very, very clear about that. They're not asking folks to be immigration officers. They are simply asking them to help to work with the federal government, be a partner with the federal government as the federal government enforces law. Nobody is, and we have talked about it on the show repeatedly. I've talked about it here during the fourth hour repeatedly. Nobody is asking them to enforce the law. All they are asking for is cooperation with federal law enforcement so that they can come in and collect these people. It takes fewer people. You've got fewer, much less consternation then. But that's not what the left wants. The left doesn't want less stress, and they don't. I mean, they're still out there. So despite Holman this morning saying they're going to have a drawdown of 700 troops effective today, they're still blockading streets in parts of Minneapolis. I'm not talking about police. I'm talking about people who are out there. They're upset. They're still setting up blockades. And that to me is just absolutely nuts. Again, I ask myself, who would want to live in that community? Who would choose? Hey, really, I think that's where I'd like to settle down with my family. No, I don't even want to pay a visit there with the kind of just craziness we have seen coming out of Minneapolis. And I think I've told you before, after the George Floyd riots, Katie and I had reason to be up there and not to be looky-loos. She was in need of some things up in Minneapolis, so we went up there. And while we were up there, things had calmed down after the George Floyd riot. And I told you at the time, because there's a comic store that I've been to a number of times and visited with the owner, and it really kind of a neat place, just a ton of comics and really kind of a really collector's feel coming. I really have enjoyed the trips there. So I said, if you don't mind, can we go here? Since we're going to be up in this area anyway. This would be, I can't remember exactly how long after the George Floyd riot, but it was a while after. Several weeks at least, maybe a month or so after the George Floyd riot. And I went into this area, and I did not realize at the time, but this comics shop that I love was right in the midst of this. It was right in the middle of it. And you go by and you look at the destruction that occurred. I mean, it was just absolutely crazy. And now you got Minneapolis, same thing going on. You got people who they're still out there setting up blockades, and Minneapolis is just a hotbed of nutburger. I mean, wild to watch all of that unfold. So also I knew this, as we talked about it yesterday, President Trump renewing his focus on election integrity and saying the federal government should take over, elections. And he made an appeal then. He was on the Dan Bongino show a couple of days ago, I should say. And he said, the Republicans ought to nationalize the voting. We have states that are so crooked, and they're counting votes, he said. So he wants to nationalize the voting. And this has been getting a lot of pushback. I mentioned to you Senator John Thune among them saying no, but the media, of course, just they grasp onto this. And I mean, if there is ever any disagreement among Republicans, the media loves that. They love to highlight this division. I don't think for a moment that this is something that's going to happen. I just don't think it's a moment. I think Trump is one of these people, he thinks out loud. You ever do this? You think out loud, you say stuff, and he's got a history of thinking out loud. Sometimes you hear his thoughts, excuse me, and I think there's a really positive response, and people kind of latch onto that and say, hey, wait a minute. I love that idea. And then every now and then he floats something and you go, ick. I hate that idea. I don't like that. I don't want to see any more of that. And the media really seizes on this. And I said, I wish the president would be more cautious. Now, he's going to be who he's going to be, and I expect him to. I expect Donald Trump to be who he is. And this is not a criticism of the president. I think what I'm trying to do is just explain how I see him. I see him as somebody who thinks out loud. So he's thinking, hey, what do you think about this idea? You ever had, I would almost bet money that you have known somebody who's done this. Maybe you're sitting in a meeting somewhere, maybe it's family matter, I don't know, but I'm thinking more in a work environment, and somebody at work says some off the wall idea, and you go, you know what? That actually is a great idea. Why don't we do that? I mean, Trump is just used to spitballing this kind of stuff. I don't know that this one is this one that is federalizing the elections. I just don't know that that's one that is appealing. Senator John Thune made it very, very clear that he's not in favor of it. He's in favor of some of the other things that Trump has talked about. The Save American voter eligibility, which we talked about, the SAVE Act. Thune is saying he's very open to that. In fact, I like some of the changes that Thune has proposed to the SAVE Act, because he's saying if you need to show your identification when you go in to register to vote, yeah, that's a good idea. Thune says you ought to have to show your identification every time you go to vote. Again, absolutely. I totally love that. But nationalizing the elections, the media, I think, is picking up on this solely because, well, there's disagreement among the Republicans, and so we're going to go out there, we're going to make a big deal about that. The way I look at it, this is just the way Trump operates. This is who he is. He thinks out loud. He floats ideas. Some of them hit, some of them miss. I think his mind is always going. And that's just a part of his personality. But the media loves to spin this into being more than it is. All right, we talked about the All-American halftime show coming up, rather than, the Super Bowl and their halftime show with his name escapes me now. The Bunny. So anyway, Bad Bunny. Yeah, Bad Bunny. Bad Jazz, I think, might be a better name. But anyway, the All-American halftime show will air around 7 p.m. this Sunday night. Feature performances by Kid Rock, Brantley Gilbert, Lee Brice, Gabby Barrett. And so a lot of people reacting to the backlash after it was announced that Bad Bunny was going to be doing the show. And that's when Turning Point USA steps in and says, hey, we're going to do the All-American halftime show. We are going to celebrate America, and we're going to make an event that families can watch. So where can you watch it? The YouTube. It'll be live on the official Turning Point USA channel and the Charlie Kirk Show channel. So you'll be able to watch it on YouTube. It'll be streamed directly to the Turning Point USA account on X. It will be available on Rumble for those of you who are on Rumble. Then they've got some TV and broadcast partners that will also be carrying it. It will air nationwide on television on TBN, the Trinity Broadcasting Network. It will stream for free on TBN Plus, Real America's Voice. Also, other places include Daily Wire and One American News, OAN, One American News. And they've got I think for those of you who have the Fire Stick, if you don't plan on, now again, forgive me, I got confused for a moment. Happens a lot, unfortunately. One American News Network, if you've got a Fire Stick, they have got a free, you can download their channel for free. And in fact, I've got it on my Fire Stick. And that's where I plan to watch this all-American halftime show with a lot of people. I'm very, very curious, with the acts that they've announced, with the things Kid Rock has been out there saying. I love I love him and the things he's got to say. So I wanted to make you aware of that. If you're not too crazy about sitting down to watch Bad Bunny during the Super Bowl halftime show, there will be a number of other places where you can watch the All-American halftime show being presented by Turning Point USA. And God bless them for doing that. A few other stories I wanted to share with you this morning. The Washington Post announcing mass layoffs in the newsroom today. In fact, they told people don't come to work. Don't come to work. Instead, there was a Zoom call earlier this morning. So staffers were told, stay home today. Instead, participate in the Zoom call, and they're laying off people. Washington Post announced quite a number of layoffs, hundreds of layoffs at the Washington Post. And I get a kick out of the New York Post. They say the Washington Post then ignoring impassioned pleas from reporters to Jeff Bezos over the past few weeks. So the Washington Post, people who work there, they have been imploring Jeff Bezos, please, 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 do not lay off any more people. Do not lay off any more people. Oh, we're valuable, Jeff. Don't you see how valuable we are at the Washington Post? Yeah, he's not listening. They're laying off hundreds of people at the Washington Post. And I am always of mixed minds about this because very, very candidly, I don't like being the kind of person who takes any kind of delight when other people are losing their jobs. I just don't. I don't like seeing other people out of work. But then at the same time, I look at what's going on in some of these newsrooms and I go, really? You think this is a surprise? This is a surprise to you that people are being laid off? I mean, it really should not be a surprise. It ought to be writing on the wall. I mean, it's been there for a very long time. There's a story at townhall.com also. This will be the last one I share with you this morning. And this is gold. I may actually run the video with you for you here this morning. This is a black ICE agent, and he was reacting to a group of these white, left-wing progressives who are harassing ICE in Minneapolis, and that's what's going on. So the agent had a reply. He was talking to a I think I'm going to share the video with you. So I apologize to those of you who are watching on your phone. For those of you who are watching horizontal, I think you may appreciate this a little bit more, but I want to share this video with you. Now, the person, so I'm going to roll the whole thing, and then I will come back to it. Here it is.
Yeah, families should be ripped apart. That's kind of our energy. Like we should rip people apart from their families.
Are you a man?
Wow, is that a question?
Wow.
Okay. How do you feel about ripping people from their families?
Are you?
Sir, I need to move. Your house nigga working for the fucking KKK?
Yes, he was a man. Why are you calling a woman a man? I want you to understand that, because he is not calling a woman a man. He's calling a transgender a man. That's what. Are you a man? Absolutely hilarious. All right, I'm going to leave it there. You have made it to the end of the video today, so you are part of my gallery of champions. Well, we throw a salute to the Bunker Brigade. Those are the folks that are here and commenting. Primarily, they're on YouTube and commenting and a part of what's going on. If you're not a subscriber of mine on YouTube, we're up to 570 now, thanks to you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So we're up to 570. I'm always looking for more. If you're not a subscriber, please become a subscriber to the fourth hour. And I appreciate you so much. We're going to leave it there for today. So until tomorrow, my friend, I'm underground and gone.